All right, folks, welcome to your halftime show or Showtime half crisis report crisis. Glad to be here. It's been a couple of days. I think Friday was my last broadcast. A rarity. I think the last time, Thanksgiving, I think was the last one, whatever. We're going to do this right now because everybody's watching Bunny Bad or whatever his name is, Bunny Nuts, the bad bun. Trash Talk America and all that and all the other wonderful woke things as you watch the scripted bowl. So let's get started on all of this and get started with your crisis report brought to you by Augusta Precious Metals. Check out the links in the description. This is going to be a lot, but it's also going to be alert style where I just go straight into it. Here we go. Of course, I share the screen. All right, y'all ready? If you're ready, say you're ready. You ready? Let's go. All right, sorry. EU's charged TikTok with breaching EU online content rules. Its addictive features after a year-long investigation. Yes, it is addictive. Sri Lanka is pursuing reparations from the UK. 6 people were injured, including a 5-year-old, after a masked youth threw a grenade in a beauty salon in Grenoble, France. Suspects whose motives are not known. I'm sure we'll all figure that out. Waymo's chief safety officer disclosed under questioning that some of the remote operators that assist its self-driving vehicles in navigating difficult scenarios are humans in the Philippines. China has conducted naval and air patrols in the disputed area in the South China Sea. Yeah, this is more from yesterday. Netanyahu and Trump are going to meet in Washington, D.C. on Wednesday to discuss the United States-Iran nuclear negotiations. For the first time in nearly 25 years, an endangered Asian elephant calf was born at the Smithsonian's National Zoo and Conservation Biology Institute, also known as the Washington Zoo. Brad Arnold, lead singer of rock band Three Doors Down, has died a couple days ago. Go listen to his music. Sean Harris, Democratic candidate for Georgia's 14th district, says he wishes Trump would let it go regarding what happened in 2020 and move forward. Elections here in Georgia are 100% fair. At the same time, they're secure. Sure. U.S. is going to resurrect Cold War era 190,000 square foot nuclear plant after a 30-year dormancy. Iranian police have fired tear gas at protesters in Milan on the opening day of the Winter Olympics, opposing environmental issues related to the games. Here things are going swimmingly for the Americans as more messaging and programming is put through sports ball. Authorities are investigating 3 incidents of damage to railway lines and a suspected sabotage on Italy's railway network related to the Olympic Games protests. Washington Post, publisher and CEO Will Lewis will resign. They've got multiple jobs lost. As of Monday, only members of Congress will have access to the unredacted versions of the files that have been released to the public. Massey's got some updates on that. New York Governor Kathy Hochul has signed a bill authorizing euthanasia for terminally ill adults. President Trump says he will not be apologizing for his post on social media that depicted the Obamas as monkeys. Mr. Beast says conspiracy theorists are nut jobs. He's a philanthropist and he works at the Rockefeller Foundation for the good of mankind. They have no control over him. Totally natural. 33-year-old Shannon Mather has been charged with making threats to kill U.S. Vice President J.D. Vance and was also found in possession of child and sexual abuse material. Department of Justice under Pam Bondi has redacted an image showing Netanyahu photoed with our favorite Jeffrey. Files show the FBI under Kash Patel and Dan Bongino internally discussed clear and specific guidance on how to redact certain things in there about important people. Pam Bondi may have personally authorized redactions in the whole thing. China has developed the world's first compact high-power microwave weapon. Can deliver 20 gigawatts of power to fly Starlink satellites in low orbit. High-power laser and particle beams reported. Sharks with frickin' laser beams. Checking in. Hi. Good. Guy. Yep, Doom. Yes, it's Earth News. I'll get more doomy as we go, don't worry. If U.S. launches an attack and will attack American-based bases located in the region, so Iran is saying they're coming. So Iranian foreign minister said that. Sergei Tropin, Russia's former deputy justice minister, was found drowned in his own bathtub. At least he didn't fall from a 7-story window. State Department will remove all X posts published before Trump was returned to office on January 20th, 2025, starting fresh. Is this true? A statement announcing Jeffrey's death has been surfaced in the files, and it was dated the day before. So the announcement was already dated the day before. So cool. He's predictive. Whoosh. Vietnam is constructing the world's largest soccer stadium for more sports ball. Trong Dong Stadium. 135,000 slaves can fit right in there. Keir Starmer's chief of staff, Morgan McSweeney, has resigned. He was resignation letter. He said that he takes full responsibility for the advice to appoint Lord Mandelson and that the decision was wrong. It has damaged the party and the country and trust in politics itself. Nobody trusts politics before or after. Trump says U.S. elections are rigged, stolen, and the laughingstock all over the world. We're either going to fix them or we won't have a country any longer. Jeffrey pronounced dead before he died. This is more on that. This is a new document, federal statement announcing his death surfaced in newly released Justice Department files, but it carries a date that appears to precede the moment that actually was found dead inside his New York prison cell. Document issued by the United States Attorney General's Office for the Southern District of New York and dated Friday, August 9th, 2019, states that Mr. Jeffrey had already been unalived and unresponsive and pronounced dead. Prison records and official accounts show Mr. Jeffrey was not discovered unresponsive until the morning of August 10th, when a corrections officer delivering breakfast found him in a cell at the Metropolitan Correction Center in Manhattan. Also, there's video now that CBS has reported of a strange orange flash looking like a person walking to his cell right before. January was likely another tough month for the U.S. job market. U.S. non-farm employment fell 13,300 last month, marking the second monthly decline over the last 4 months, according to Revelio. Firm aggregates data from company career pages such as LinkedIn and Indeed. Investors are rushing into U.S. software stocks. Tech software ETF, IGV, posted a combined $1.5 billion two-day inflow on Wednesday and Thursday, second highest on record, second only to the $1.7 billion seen in 2024. As a result, IGV trading volume spiked from there. Employment at small U.S. businesses is contracting, alarming pace. Small U.S. firms are employing 20 to 49 people and shed 30,000 jobs in January, fifth consecutive monthly decline. These firms have seen employment contract in 14 out of the last 17 months. Investors are still piling into gold funds at a record pace. Gold holdings in the largest physical gold-backed ETF, GLD, are up to 34.9 million troy ounces, highest since May 2022. Since June 2024, gold holdings in the fund have increased 8 million troy ounces. Delinquency rate on commercial mortgage-backed securities, or CMBSs, for offices jumped 103 basis points in January to a record 12.3%, surpassing the post-2008 financial crisis peak by 1.6 percentage points. CMBS delinquency rate has soared 600% from 2022 to 2024. 600%. 600%. 600%. 600%. 600%. 600%. 600%. 600%. 600%. 600%. 600%. 600%. 600%. 600%. 600%. 600%. 600%. 600%. 600%. 600%. 600%. 600%. 600%. 600%. 600%. 600%. 600%. 600%. 600%. 600%. 600%. 600%. 600%. 600%. 600%. 600%. 600%. 600%. 600%. 600%. 600%. 600%. 600%. 600%. 600%. 600%. 600%. 600%. 600%. 600%. 600%. 600%. 600%. 600%. 600%. 600%. 600%. 600%. 600%. 600%. 600%. 600%. 600%. 600%. 600%. 600%. 600%. 600%. 600%. 600%. 600%. European stocks are experiencing an incredible run. Stock 600 index has gained for 7 consecutive months, longest since 2013, also the second best run in the century and one of the strongest in 40 years. During the streak, index rallied 14.4%. U.S. job openings are now at a recession levels. U.S. job openings dropped 386,000 in December, 6.5 million, lowest since September 2020. Over the last 2 months, job openings have declined 907,000 people, the biggest 2-month drop since March 2023. Key events this week: December retail sales data, Monday. January jobs report, Wednesday. Initial jobless claims, Thursday. January existing home sales data, Thursday. January CPI inflation data, Friday. 5 Fed speaker events this week. U.S. presidents with a 100,000 price target on the Dow. New Fed chair who is required to cut interest rates. $2,000 stimulus checks back in discussion. U.S. government buying $200 billion in mortgage bonds, and new $1.2 trillion funding bill signed into law. How bad is the U.S. debt crisis, and how bad is it becoming? Interest payments on U.S. public debt to overseas holders surged to a record $292 billion in quarter 3 2025. Amount has more than doubled since 2020. U.S. Treasury now pays 6 times more to international holders of the U.S. debt than before. Checking in. Hello. Yep. Scripted Bull Savage. Go off, bud. Air Force is repairing the air traffic control tower at Roosevelt Roads Naval Base in Ceiba, Puerto Rico. Even more proof they are here to stay. And this is an interesting one. I'm extremely pessimistic about Taiwan's chances in a fight with China. KMT, ruling party, is increasingly aligned with the mainland and actively constraining desperately needed defense spending for actual defense. Spending is available is often spent on high-budget, high-visibility programs of dubious utility, survivability in an actual war with the PRC. Highly likely that the PRC has compromised important Republic of China Army figures, which means that Taiwan's defensive strategy as a whole is likely compromised. U.S. might not even come to the rescue. The more we read about the Taiwanese military and political situation, the more we feel situation is simply unsustainable. CPC seeks political capture still, but will feel more confident in their ability to kinetically take over Taiwan. That's the Communist Party of China. Not only the KMT, but also the TPP have largely become defeatist and are actively sabotaging progress. Even the DPP can be said to treat defense in a half-hearted manner. However, the widespread opposition on purchasing major platforms is in fact dubious. So they're screwed. Whoop, doubler. U.S. employers announced 108,435 layoffs in January, up 205% from December, highest January since 2009. Nebraska legislature has approved a bill lowering Nebraska's minimum wage from $15 to $13.50 for young workers and slowing down minimum wage increases for others. Megan Hunt says young people are having a trouble affording things just like many others. Groceries cost the same whether you're 17 or 37. Rent costs the same. Gas costs the same. It's almost like if they raise the price on the minimum wage, the businesses will raise the price on their services to compensate. Gosh, you could have saw that coming. French government has launched a national plan to combat infertility, including sending an official letter to all 29-year-olds with information on fertility, reproduction, and preservation options. Policy comes as France's fertility rate has dropped to around 1.56 children per woman, far below the 2.1 replacement level that is the lowest in decades. Births are at post-war lows, with deaths now beginning to outnumber births. We're screwed. Screwed, I tell you. Go look up gay bomb, too, and see what comes up there. That's an interesting one. I think I put it over on the PrepperNow Telegram. Approximately 100 U.S. Navy ships, one-third of the total battle force, deployed at any given moment And while the U.S. is moving assets within combatant commands, there's been no surge on major shift in overall force posture related to Iran. U.S. Navy typically operates on a cycle of maintenance, training, deployment, with one-third of the fleet dedicated to each phase at any given time. Outside of a near-peer war breakout, this cycle will not change. In order to support a constant presence, you must maintain the equipment and train the crews. They are not going to surge assets outside of this cycle unless they're forced to, and the present tensions in the Middle East do not require such a shift. DOJ removed an 86-page document from the files titled Investigation into Potential Jeffrey Co-Conspirators, which outlined interviews with alleged victims, investigative subjects, and legal counsel representing Les Wexner. And the leaders in the world that have the most disapproval: Emmanuel Macron, 77%, Keir Starmer, 68%, Friedrich Merz, 64%, and Pedro Sanchez, 61%. Officials with the lowest approval ratings in the world are the loudest champions of social media bans for teens and misinformation crackdowns. President Trump signed an executive order quadrupling beef imports from Argentina, a massive blow to the cattle ranchers supported him from the 2024 elections. Proclamation increases the in-quota tariff rate for lean beef trimmings by 80,000 metric tons calendar year 2026. Additional imports will be allocated entirely to Argentina and released in 4 quarterly tranches beginning February 13th. White House said action is intended to boost supply and make ground beef more affordable for Americans in a fact sheet on the order. According to the proclamation, the Trump administration is acting in response to historically high beef prices and prolonged decrease in the U.S. cattle herd. U.S. job openings are now at recession levels. U.S. job openings dropped 386,000 in December, 6.5 million, the lowest since September 2020. Over the last 2 months, job openings have declined 907,000, the biggest 2-month drop since March 2023. Number of available vacancies has plummeted 5.6 million since the March 2022 peak. This is now below levels seen before the Ronademic in 2018 and 19 at 7 million. As a result, the ratio of available vacancies to unemployed workers is down to 0.87, lowest since February 2021 and significantly below the pre-Ronademic high of 1.24. Also below the levels recorded during the 2001 recession. U.S. job market weakness is accelerating. Channel 14 reports that the U.S. has finalized the deployment of Patriot and THAAD missile defense systems across 20 bases in the Middle East. Japan's NHK projects that the ruling conservative LDP will win between 274 and 328 seats by its own. Such exit polls may have them win the largest majority since 1945. 2 pro-China, China-friendly parties, the Japanese House of Representatives, Reira Shinsenegumi, and the Social Democratic Party of Japan, or SPD, are risking getting to 0 seats at the elections. And the map is showing that the ruling party of the LDP is just taking it. Osaka Prefecture, home of the LDP's coalition partner, the libertarian-minded Ishin Party, even 30 minutes after the polls have closed, they haven't called a single district. Well, basically all of them go red. Takaichi administration has already set in place a plan to accept up to 1.23 million foreigner workers by 2028. That will represent a major increase in Japan's foreign population. There will also be hundreds of thousands of foreigners coming to Japan as students and staying in the country to work after they graduate. Takaichi's election victory today may cause some impression-hungry foreign accounts to make declarations about Japan reducing immigration. Ruling LDP party won all 30 districts in Tokyo, unprecedented. Pro-China leftist progressive Reira Shinsenegumi known for holding pro-Palestinian rallies and other BS, has received 0 seats so far. Israeli defense officials recently told their U.S. counterparts that Iran's ballistic missile program represents an existential threat and that Israel is prepared to act unilaterally if necessary. Told the Americans, we will strike alone if Iran crosses the red line we set on ballistic missiles, according to the Israeli defense official. LDP politician Hashimoto Gaku, which had lost his Diet seat in the 2024 election, partly because it has revealed that he had ties to the controversial ROK-based Unification Church. He has won his seat back tonight. Prime Minister Sanae Takaichi, Gideon Sar congratulated her and says, hey, congratulations on your decisive victory. Hamas leader Khalid Mashal told Al Jazeera in Doha that Hamas will not disarm. We will go with the approach of storing in weapons. Let's try this again. Hamas will not disarm. We will go with the approach of storing the weapons or not presenting the weapons. The approach is acceptable to Turkey, Egypt, and Qatar. There will be a ceasefire of only 5 to 10 years. October 7th massacre has opened a path to establishing a Palestinian state. Key points from remarks from Iran's Foreign Minister Abbas Araghchi said, enrichment is non-negotiable. Iran will not give up uranium enrichment under any circumstances, including war. No retreat under pressure, backing down in surrender. Iran doubts the U.S. intent due to sanctions and military moves. Oman may host another round if viable. Missiles are off the table. Iran rules out any talks on ballistic missile program, now or ever. CENTCOM role rejected. Araghchi called the participation of the U.S. Central Command Chief in talks unacceptable. They're ready for any outcome, and Iran says it is prepared for diplomacy or war, operating as if talks could fail. W-A-R. It's not looking good. U.S. Olympic skier Lindsey Vonn stable after undergoing surgery after she broke the crap out of her left leg. Congressman Thomas Massie has threatened to read the entire names of the Jeffrey files that have been redacted if the Justice Department does not release them. 2 Mexican Navy ships set sail with more than 800 tons of humanitarian aid for Cuba. Mexico, federal government confirmed 2 ships from the Mexican Navy departed today carrying more than 814 tons of food aid for the civilian population of Cuba. Supplies are expected to arrive in 4 days. They include liquid and powdered milk, meat products, beans, rice, canned tuna and water, sardines, vegetable oil, and personal hygiene items, amongst other essentials. Foreign Ministry Affairs detailed that under the instructions of President Claudia Sheinbaum Pardo and through the Mexican Navy, humanitarian aid was sent to the Papaloapan and Isla Holbox logistics support ships. Goes on from there. We won't keep going. Jeffrey survivors released an ad on Super Bowl Sunday telling Attorney General Pam Bondi it's, quote, time for truth. China has banned new investments in Israel since the war after classifying the country as a, quote, high-risk zone. Restrictions was confirmed in court filings by a Chinese investment fund, which cited government instructions as the reason it cannot proceed with new deals. After 14 years in opposition, Labor is collapsing in power. Starmer is on the brink as cabinet prepares to force him out, according to Bloomberg. U.S. stock market futures are opening higher. S&P 500 futures are up 150 points since Friday. These are my dogs. I don't know what they're doing. Bitcoin is back over $72,000. And gold officially has reclaimed 5,000, and silver is back over 80. Another wild week in the metals ahead. That, my friends, is your crisis halftime report. God bless you all. I'll let you get back. I know you want to get back and watch Bad Bunny suck. Enjoy your scripted bowl, and we will be here again tomorrow with regular programming. I enjoy all of you. Thanks for being a member. Thanks for being a patron. Thanks for being a part of the community, whatever kind of capacity. And there are other links in the description of places you can go and find PrepperNow Nation. God bless you all.